All right. If POTA is field day, if POTA is, man, I could read my own writing today. Why not? It's just, add, more fuel on the fire here. So, if we treat POTA every day as field day, then does that just make field day irrelevant? We'll figure that out next on Live Free and Ham. So, hello and welcome to Live Free and Ham podcast. This is our weekly show where we discuss ham radio topics in New Hampshire, New England, and beyond. We're thrilled to have you here, and whether you've been a regular listener or you're tuning in for the first time, again, thank you guys for joining this damn episode because, hey, I can't talk tonight. So with that, we thank all the folks that are in the chat there. Appreciate all you guys. So let's get into the show. I'm your host, Eric, callsign N1JUR, and I'm with my co-hosts.
Paul, N1OG, the Grouch. And Todd, kind of somewhat in there. W1STJ. Okay. Still a general.
Still a general. There we go. We got that right. All right. Well, as Todd is currently having some technical difficulties, we will hopefully have at least a couple of minutes of him saying something, when he finally gets around to it. But, it's like we say, before we always get into our topic, we got a few things you want to catch up on. So you can always head over to our storefront at livefreeandham.com/shop. Check out all our merch. You can always pick up one of our latest t-shirts. I'm not wearing one today. This is not it. But we've got, RF Around and Find Out. That's one of my favorite ones so far. And your ham radio showing, as well as many others as, we know within the Three Amigos. Would there be a plethora? And I'd say yes. Yes, there would be a plethora. So with that, head over there, maybe pick up a couple of our bacon hammies. We're always, looking to hear more stories about folks, handing those out. And you can always go over to gethammed.com and to check that out more. And as we said, there's always stuff that we're adding to the store. So, definitely take the time, check that stuff out. So, all right, sorry about that. So if you want to connect with our community, you can always do that in several ways. Again, our live stream, we always do once a month. So make sure you're part of our YouTube channel and you're subscribed and you ring that bell to get notified when we go live. And you can always send us an email via SMS. And I'm just freaking off the rails today. You can send us an email or an SMS, and you can leave us a voicemail. As always, it would probably be the best way to do it because don't trust us with the other two methods at this point. At 978-233-1142. And all those links are definitely in our show notes below. And so if you want to support our show, which, at this point, we really need all your support because this is just not going well, come be a Patreon member. Or if you want to give a one-time donation, you can always do that with Buy Us a Beer. But as a Patreon member, you get some of this great stuff. You get to see all of the antics, messes, screw-ups, technical difficulties, you name it. All in the live stream. You get to be part of that as well as, get all of our recordings before they are released the week after. And as Bob always says there,
you can join for as little as $3 a month. It's not a big expense.
No, it is not. We thank Bob for that little, sound bite there as well, because Bob is not wrong. Bob is dead on. He is a great supporter of the show, as many others. Mike, who's also in there in the chat, and we appreciate all you guys supporting the show, because without you guys, we'd just be sitting here talking to ourselves and watching Todd constantly reboot.
And yes, Todd, we can see you and we can hear you.
Can you
welcome back?
Because I've been on for since you started.
That's the way we like to keep you on your toes, my friend. Just learn sign language,
I'll give you the sign language.
That I knew was coming. So with that, we're gonna skip over because we have nothing in our special segments this week. So no reviews, no emails, no nothing. So
no do goods.
No do goods. Sad emojis. So with that, we're just gonna have to roll right into one of our favorite episodes here. And where I'm way off here. Okay.
It's everyone's favorite segment.
And now a little something extra with Todd, W1STJ.
Still a general.
All right. Well, so this is, as always, our favorite segment here, and the I'd say center pillar support of the entire, Live Free and Ham organization, I guess. I don't know how you want to word it otherwise, but, you've heard it here. This is where we help Todd study for his extra class license. Each episode, we always pick 3 questions from that extra class question pool to test his knowledge and hope he gets upgrade. So you want to follow along, head on over to hamstudy.org. And with that, I'm going to just pass this over to the VE Quizmaster because I'm just tripping over my dick, as they say. So with that, over to you, N1OG.
All right. Well, just to let you know, right? So this is the big black mast in the center of our tent.
Oh, not me.
Erecting that big, hard, stiff black mast.
Oh, that'll forever be ingrained in my mind. So with that,
I couldn't resist the opportunity to throw that in there.
Please do.
All right.
And before we start, I will let you control all the buttons. So don't, expect me to hit anything. I'll just add libs here.
Perfect. Okay. I got it. All right, Todd, we are doing question number 1 from sub-element number 9. And the question is, what do the arcs on a Smith chart represent? Is it A, SWR, B, frequency, C, points with constant resistance, or D, points with constant reactance?
Ooh.
I don't know. I think it's D.
And I would say you'd be 100% right, my friend, because I know that for a fact.
Yes, because they are reactance arcs.
Got it.
Great job.
I hate Smith charts.
We all do.
Well, it's just one of those things you have to suffer through to get your extra.
Yeah. All right. Question
number 2. What must the VE team do if an examinee scores a passing grade on all examination elements needed for an upgrade or a new license? Is it A, all of these choices are correct? All of these choices you haven't heard yet.
I know, right?
Is it B, photocopy all examination documents and forward them to the FCC for processing? Is it C, 3 VEs must certify the examinee is qualified for the license grant and that they have complied with the administering VE requirements? Or is it D, issue the examinee the new or upgrade license? So again, it's the VE team. If the examinee scores a passing grade on all examination elements needed for an upgrade or a license, what is the VE team doing?
So, what must the VE team do if any scores a passing grade? I would say B.
You are correct, my friend. That is definitely B.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, because I don't think you have to be qualified.
Because it says right. Yeah. Because it says if an exam scores a passing grade on all examination elements needed for an upgrade or a new license.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you got to photocopy and send this shit up.
No.
What?
No, you do not. No, you do not. 3 VEs must certify that the examinee is qualified for the license grant and that they have complied with the administering VE requirements. That is why you need 3 VEs.
I get that
per examinee.
Wait a minute.
For the license grant is confusing.
I'm going to fight this one. That's bullshit. And this is why the VE and whoever does this are a bunch of fucking idiots. It says I already passed the thing. So you don't need to certify. I'm already certified.
Well, the certified part I agree with. I don't go
the VEs
qualified.
Right.
The VEs have to listen. The VEs have to sign your 605 and your certificate of successful completion.
Okay.
There needs to be 3 VEs that sign those forms.
Okay. And
you
then
need 3.
And then what do you do?
And then the head VE of that team then emails or uploads
or
a
photocopies
PDF
and snail mail.
No.
Yes.
No.
It's all electronic now, my friend.
Listen.
Okay, then here's my counter offer.
Listen, that question is debated. You can't.
No.
You have to send it up there, whether you photocopy it or not. The old geezers
that you have to do. Well, wait. So back the train up there. That you have to photocopy before. That all that stuff has to be done before you take the test.
And they have to send it up to the FCC. Do you not do that?
He does.
No, I don't send anything to the FCC.
No, it's all.
Where do you send it?
I send it to the VEC,
which is the
ARLO? Yes, or GLARG or W5YI or whoever the VEC is.
All right.
Once again, the communication process is broken down.
Yes, it has.
Like as the VE liaison, like
you're arguing.
I know the answer to this question. You can't argue it.
Bullshit.
All right, it's okay, Todd. You're 1 for 2.
2. Yep.
Okay. The third and final question. You ready?
We know where this is going.
What is the primary advantage of using a toroidal core instead of a solenoidal core in an inductor? Is it A, toroidal cores exhibit greater hysteresis? B, toroidal cores make it easier to couple the magnetic energy into other components? C, toroidal cores confine most of the magnetic field within the core material? Or is it D, toroidal cores have lower Q characteristics?
Ouch.
And if I had to say toroidal another time,
I came up with that fucking name. All right, I'm going to say C.
Yeah, I would agree with that one. Only because Google says so.
Did you Google it?
Dude, I'm not taking the test here. That's why I'm not guessing.
He fucking cheats.
Still have my extra.
So, yes, you are correct.
Thank you.
Toroidal cores confine most of the magnetic field within the core material.
Yep.
So, because of the circular geometry of the toroidal core, it contains most of the magnetic field inside of it. This makes toroids well suited for use on circuit boards where magnetic field interference with other components is undesirable. So, hint, all answers start with toroidal cores, but what is important is that the correct answer's third word comes first alphabetically among the answers. This is the stupidest hint ever.
Oh, yeah. And that comes from UVEs.
No, that comes
submitted.
Yeah, that comes from whoever Tyson is.
Yep.
I'm gonna
to edit.
I'm gonna save that, edit it later.
Yeah, my God.
Tyson with a CEN.
Yeah.
Well, that's his username, whatever that might be.
Well, Todd, congratulations. You got 2 out of 3.
'Cause 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
I love that song. All right, so let's get back on track here. So if you're studying or on that journey to studying for your technician general or extra class license, then hamstudy.org is always an awesome resource for getting your ticket. And as we like to say all the time, if you recently received your license or you upgraded, we want to know. Right? We want to recognize you on the next episode. So send us an email at livefreeandham. I love Mike's comment. Oh, Mike. Yeah, you make my day so much brighter sometimes. You can always email us at livefreeandham@gmail.com, and we'll make sure to mention you on the next show. Oh, Mike. Yeah. So that comment we'll read here for our podcast listeners since they aren't watching the live, the recorded YouTube show. Mike says, here's a better hint. Tour raids are keep that shit in a circle.
Keep that shit in a circle.
There you go. So always love your humor, Mike. Appreciate it. All right. So with that, so far, knock on wood, Todd has been doing good. So we will dive into our usual section here and start with Todd, since we never know whether his connection's going to fail. How's your Hammer Week, my friend?
It's uneventful. I did try to get Alaska a fucking again, popping up on ham alerts, and 20 meters wasn't happening to get Alaska last night.
Were you talking about KL7 EC Alaska, or just in general? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely on a lot. He was on 15 meters over the weekend.
Yeah, I couldn't get him. Couldn't hear him.
Yep.
I've been trying to get my car, my new Jeep back, getting a radio in it, but not happening because every time I try to do it, I've got the honey-do list to do, or I got my kid up my ass to go fishing, or so I'm working on it.
Hey.
Hopefully I'll have the antenna in, and I do have the radio program, so that's good.
Yeah. Dude, that's you're halfway there, right?
Yeah, and I just gotta, but there is a cool thing though. I gotta find out on my Jeep. So I have built-in auxiliary buttons, and I need to figure out
like the little dash switches. Yeah.
Because my old Jeep, it was just like a shelf, like a little indent. This one has like 4 auxiliary buttons, and the auxiliary buttons are for like if you had like a floodlight or something you wanted to. So there's got to be a way I can connect the radio to one of those switches.
Yeah, you can.
So,
you just have to figure out where they wire back to, but it shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah,
I know there's a bunch of Jeepers out there that have done that before.
Yeah, so I gotta read up on that. So hopefully tomorrow I'll at least get the antenna wired and connected up and pushed into into the wired in and ready to get plugged in, and then I'll work on the radio next week. I'm off next week. I'm off Monday tomorrow, and then I'm off Thursday, Friday, and Monday again. So hopefully by a week from Monday I'll be all set.
Well, I've got some time definitely later in the week if you want to, put that together.
Sure, buddy. Come on over.
Get something wired up there and finally get you back on the air. It's lonely. The repeater's freaking quiet every morning.
Really? No one's on?
No, I don't usually talk during the 6 to 8 hour time frame, but yeah.
So I normally talk to Bill on that morning, and sometimes Ralph.
Yeah.
But yeah. Christian must think I'm dead. I haven't talked to him in like months. He's probably like, where'd that guy go?
I know, right? What did I say wrong?
Why is he ignoring me?
I know, man. That's the sad part of the radio.
Like, on the Epson repeater, Anthony's going to go ballistic. Where have you been?
I know. I can only imagine, dude. I've got to reprogram that on my radio because I took the memory spot for Ryan's repeater, but I haven't been on Ryan's repeater in a while because I know he's been trying to work on getting that new antenna upgrade in place. So we'll see.
Yeah, I got some kind of alert saying that he took something was off or offline. Does he have what did I get?
Oh, his All-Star node, maybe?
All-Star node, yeah.
Oh, how did you get that alert?
It just popped up on my phone.
Random. Yeah.
Shit popped up on my phone all the time.
Yeah. Hey, that's all right, man. Well, hey, so your trip to, Florida was a bust, right? You shared that on last episode. So you got any more future plans with that?
Well, if I go down again, I'll try it again. I'd like to work that park. Looks like a pretty cool one, but yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be going down. I have no idea. The state's out of money, from what I was told by one of my friends who's a judge, who saw at Moulton's, which is a little morning place downtown. I was getting a breakfast burrito, and he was sitting in there, and he told me that they had a little pep talk with the administration. They said they've been out of money for like the last 3 months. Like, we have zero money. We've been borrowing money from other agencies, so I guess we have to pay them back. I have no idea. I'm like, well, that's because, so I don't know. Yeah, if I do get up, but my bag's all ready to go. So I leave it in the Jeep. So hopefully this week's probably going to be hard because I'm only in for 2 days.
Couple of days. Yeah.
But next week or the week after, I'll have some time, I think. Work on the rail trail, try to catch up to Eric.
Yeah.
But Paul, I know you haven't been doing much skydiving. What have you been doing any ham radio crap?
Well, I'm impressed, dude. I'm impressed. Nice job.
What?
Okay. Yeah. Well, usually you pass it off to me as last one, but I know we started with you. But dude, go with it. I'm happy. Nice.
Last,
Paul, how is your? Well, I haven't talked yet, so I'm kind of the last guy. But
go ahead, Grouch. Tell us about your great ham radio week.
Now that you've wound them up.
Well, to be honest, okay, I did do skydiving this week. And I'm not the Google guy, but so yes, I did do skydiving this week. But ham radio wise, I did a lot of learning because so I've got the ham clock set up in the Grouch command here. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to have the ham clock kind of running in the background, and then have the ham dashboard up. And then I wanted to change some of the cells out so that like when I'm here, right, I could have different dashboards for like different locations around the country. So when I'm here, I want the DZ wind information, and I want, the solar conditions and the weather and all of those things. And I'm struggling to get manifest to show in one of the boxes. But so Carlos and I were working together this morning because today was just stormy weather. And so, he was kind of interested in what it was that I was looking to do. And I don't know Linux at all. I don't understand Raspberry Pis other than like I could follow the directions to set it up. Right.
Yep.
So it was cool. Like, him and I, we spent a couple hours, like he was showing me different things and, trying to kind of configure it. And it was really cool. He managed to create a second like ham clock instance so that I could have the primary ham clock if I wanted to just have it be a full screen ham clock.
Yep. But
then there's a web only version. And so he created the second instance to be the web only version, where then you can't see it because it's just running in the background. But when you open, yes, you can. But when you open the ham dashboard, you point that pane to the IP address of the ham clock's live feed, and it pulls the ham clock's live feed right into the ham dashboard.
Oh.
And so I was like, dude, this is awesome. Like now I mean, it's obviously it's really small, so you don't get to see all the detail of the ham clock, but it's there. And I did get the CSE weather to show. Like I said, I'm still struggling with manifest. For whatever reason, the manifest keeps giving me an error 404.
Sounds like it's not loading content, but
and then I realized that the Pi that I was using was it's a 3B, and so like trying to run the ham dashboard on that was god awful. It kept freezing and it was just so slow. So
3B.
I had,
wow, I would have thought that would have been enough horsepower to run that stuff.
You would think. I don't know. So there's a couple other options that I'm working out. But I also had a 4.
Okay.
The 4 has a duplex hat on it. So I got to figure out how I can get the duplex hat to have WPSD running at the same time as the ham dashboard. And even cooler if I could put like the WPSD window in the ham dashboard.
Oh, yeah. That would be pretty sweet. Yeah. Well, the other thing too is like, having that web instance, you could always pull that up anytime you're on your desktop, and you want to be able like not have to peer around at the ham clock. You could use that as a, quick, easy reference from your browser. So it's pretty cool to do it that way too.
Yeah, it was really funny. So like I was showing Carlos all about the ham clock and how I set it up and how I configured it. And he's like, dude, you should make a video. And I was like, well, I would, except Smart Jason already did it. Like I literally used his videos, and then like his videos are a little outdated now. So there was a lot of stuff that I had to figure out on my own.
Like you still should do a video.
So yeah, maybe like once I get all the kinks ironed out, right? I'll do a video on setting up the ham clock to run as a web only instance, and then setting up the ham dashboard for all of the information that I want.
Cool, nice.
But that's ham radio related, so it was ham radio.
It's totally fine. So you spent all weekend with Carlos. Did you actually play any ham radio at all, or are you just outside of the ham dashboard stuff?
No.
Okay.
So Thursday, the weather was absolutely beautiful. I was skydiving. Carlos did 8 tandems. Friday, I slept in just a little bit, like by literally like a half an hour, and then I made a pot of coffee. I was shooting shit with Carlos because I've got AC, so he crashed in the RV with me. The next thing you know, it's 8:00, and so like he was supposed to be at a work meeting in the hangar at 8:07. He missed his meeting, and so like we both kind of rushed over to the hangar, and I'm like, I need to get a rental because there's so many people here this weekend. Like I need to get a rental first thing so that I have a parachute for the weekend or for the day. And yeah, the one that I had for Thursday was already rented, and all of the other ones that I could have rented were already rented.
Oh boy.
And so yeah, so I didn't get a rental for Friday. So what I did was I was already going to assist with a demo. There was 3 skydivers. They were going to skydive into a big soccer field where there was a bunch of people before a fireworks show. Really cool, like with the giant American flag, and everything.
Saw the photos on Patreon. Pretty cool.
Yeah, on the way, my alternator died in the truck, and so I didn't make it to the demo. But hey, I still get to see them jump, from where I was, on the side of the gas station parking lot there.
Oh boy. Okay.
AAA got me back. They got me back in time for the fireworks show here at the drop zone and everything. And it was kind of cool. Like I haven't been able to watch fireworks in years and years and years. Like,
yeah, you were saying that last episode. Yeah.
Yeah, it just causes a lot of issues for me. But being so close, like I could literally see all the mortar tubes lined up, and so like I can see them going off and I can see them doing everything. And so it was actually, it was really cool. Like it was nice to just kind of be able to enjoy fireworks for a change. Nice. Yeah, so that was Friday. Saturday, the weather was a little too windy for me. There was still people that were jumping, but the uppers were like 25 to 28 knots. 3,000 and below was still like 24, 25 knots. It's just that's higher winds than what I'm comfortable with at my skill level. So I just hung out. I had a good time. Got wet doing a slide, and they had this big inflatable slide, like where they had a hose feeding the top, and there was a pool at the bottom, so you climb up the thing, and you're like I don't know, 25 feet up or so, and you slide down at the pool. It was fun. But yeah, and then we had an awesome party and stuff. But yeah, anyways, that's not ham radio related. So, Eric, how was your ham radio week?
Totally fine. If you want to hear all the antics, especially you go back at the very beginning of this, and if you're not a Patreon member, then this is where you're missing out on the really cool shit. We talked about prior to this while waiting for Todd getting in there. But yeah, so man, now that you kind of give me a blow by blow of your 4 days, I can't really remember my 4 days. They kind of all blend. It's kind of like, did I do
just a blur?
Yeah, I know we were up in Maine most of the day, Thursday for 4th and doing fireworks and all that stuff. And I brought my radios, but we didn't do much in that area. Did I do anything Friday? No, I mean, to be honest, I think the only thing I really was geared up for is I did, we'll say, my second live stream, I think, on my channel. That's going to be more consistent. So I'm doing a little thing on my channel called Brew and Activates Sunday mornings. We just talk POTA, everything, anything. Hopefully it'll be a cool, way to spend your Sunday morning. So, that'll be going on probably for the next, I don't know for how long until, I run out of topics. But POTA is pretty far and wide, so I don't think I'll be running out of topics anytime soon.
I would have been on that, but I was in the freaking woods getting eaten alive by bugs. But hey, I forgot to tell you guys, I did kind of. So when I took the boys to, I took Zach and his friend down to the beach, and we went to Rye Harbor State Park. Oh, yeah. It was the one that we,
the one field that we did the rove on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get there, and there's a guy setting up a POTA station. So I go up to him, introduce myself, told him about the podcast. I forget what his call sign was, but if he's on this and he listens, here's a shout out. But I went out to the
unknown ham.
Yeah, no, he's from Mass, and his wife. He goes, "I gotta go. My wife only gives me 2 hours." I was gonna go and tell her like, "Hey, that's not very nice. You should give him at least 4." But
takes at least an
he
hour
said he
and a
was
half
on.
to
I guess he was on vacation or whatever. But yeah, he had this kind of cool long whip kind of antenna with 2 raised radials going out. I don't know. It wasn't. I think it's something he either made or someone else had made, and he duplicated it. Said it worked really well. And as I was getting the fishing stuff out of the car, I could hear him like getting people. So, and then he was gone by the time we got back. So he must have activated pretty quickly.
Well, he only had 2 hours. 10 to context is it, man.
Yeah, he was.
You should have just handed all the rod and the tackle to the kid and been like, "All right, I'll catch up with you," and be like, "Hey, can I jump in on your activation?"
Yeah.
Yeah, pass the mic. Come on, you know the game.
Well, because I was thinking, I was like, if I don't really want to go fishing, I might as well, I could just activate. And I was going to do it, but then he was there, and I was like, I'm not going to rain on his parade.
You're not planning properly. You should be like, let's go fishing down at the rail trail. Let him fish there, and then you can at least catch up.
He wanted to go freaking, thinks he's going to catch like some striper off the Rye Beach. And I'm like, dude. So I spent $14 in clams, which was nice because they weren't frozen. Because when you go down to the Cape, they're always freaking rock hard. These things weren't frozen, but they're frozen now because I stuck them in the freezer in the garage. They only used like 3 clams. Like they're like, this sucks. Can we go? So
yeah, I do have to say though, like my wife encouraged me most of the weekend to do a POTA, but I was just like, I'm going
to find out what that guy's name is because I could probably look it up on the POTA map.
Probably. I mean, if he posted the log, on a consistent basis, but
he was though hand scribing his log.
Oh well, maybe not then.
No, let me see. I'm gonna
because I know it takes Tim a little while to get his up to Parks on the Air or get it into a log so you can upload it.
But he did write down my call sign. He did write down Live Free and Ham, so hopefully he's listening.
Sweet.
Which would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I would be glad to have him on as another subscriber. It'd be really cool. So
so you were given permission to go POTA, and you didn't.
So where we were located, like in just the general areas and the stuff she wanted to do, it was like Silver Lake or like all the parks I kind of already done that I knew, like
Silver Lake on 4th of July. That's where I want to be.
Well, that's part of the reason there. I was like, nah. And then I was like,
could have gone to Russell Abbott.
But that would have bored my wife to no end because that's like in the middle of nowhere, and I wouldn't be doing radio.
Park.
But we won't talk about what.
She could have put her toes in the water and read a book and enjoyed the sun.
But so we went up to Maine, and I had an option to go to Mount Aggie to go do that, and I turned that one down. So like, I'm not broken. I just didn't want to play. I don't know. Like, I just didn't feel like playing radio because not in a bad way. I was just like, hey, I want to like relax. Sometimes you just, you're kind of like whatever, but I'll leave it at that. I can't fault myself for like, missing out on an opportunity because it was granted to me, but like, I just was like, okay, whatever, I think probably the reason why, and I'll confess, is I've got a buttload of antenna reviews to do over the next 4 days. So like, I'm not thinking like, hey, I'm just going to go have fun doing a POTA activation. I'm thinking like, okay, I got to review this antenna. I got to, do this, and this. And, so when you get into content creation, it's a full-time job, man. When you don't do activations, you're not like, well, maybe Paul, you do. I don't know. You haven't gotten to that place where it's like, I got to do this review right. Otherwise I'm going to get slammed by like everybody going, why didn't you talk about this part of the antenna? And, how come, you didn't review this? And it's like, yeah, I should have done that. But anyway.
All right, I got his name. It's W1JKS, John Semelik.
Okay.
Oh, so it looks like he got 18.
Nice.
So and then he went on to
Rye's a good spot.
Odeon State Park. There he got 27. He did that on the 5th. So he did that on the 3rd, and then he didn't do anything on the 4th, and then he went on the 5th. So
nice.
Yeah. So yeah, he did it. He must have done it pretty quick because we weren't out there that long. I mean, we were probably out there less than 2 hours.
So yeah, I'm going to put this little bug in your ear, Paul. Like before you go back down south to Florida for the winter, we got to do that rove. So, somewhere in your mix, before you leave, let me know when you're drop dead. I got to go to Florida kind of date is. And then we'll work backwards from that and schedule everybody who wants to go do that rove, because I was talking to Tortoise Overland, and it was like, dude, I heard you guys mention about a rove, like, and I'm like, oh, and so we started into that whole bucket, and it's like, dude, I want in. I'm like, and we all know he's just starting to get into POTA, so he's got the bug already, and he, anything POTA, he's all ready to jump on board. So, yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I think September timeframe, early October, it'd be great.
September's going to be busy, my friend.
Hey, and we need your boat. Does that thing still work? Your boat?
It should.
Can Eric and I borrow it? Because there's a White Island State Historic Site.
That's been activated, but yeah, we can go.
It's in the middle of the ocean.
I know. That's right off of.
Yeah.
Do either one of you have your boating license?
That's the problem.
You got a boating license? I got a driver's license.
No, you need a boating license.
We might have to charter Paul, but anyway.
Why do you need a boating? What do you need for a boat? You got to take the course?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, I'll take the course. How hard could it be? Just another
among many billion other things you're going to do. Add that to your list. All his free time just getting soaked up.
Only 2 people activated it.
Yeah, but the guy who activated did CW, and he's like got so many freaking contacts.
$16.99.
Yeah.
K1RX.
I wonder how much like he whether he had really good luck or like, there's a little fudge factor in there, and nobody will ever know because no one's going to be able to challenge him on it.
he did it 3 times, $16.99. Come on.
That's that's good. 600 contacts he must have been out there the whole entire day, because you'd probably want to be out there a whole entire day, not for like a couple hours.
And then the other guy, N1SRD, he did it twice, 193. I find that $16.99 a little for 3 times. Come on.
You could do it, man. Dude, he's literally right on the ocean. That's salt water. I mean, you've seen how many contacts Walt gets, and he runs 5 watts.
Yeah.
It's probably very possible. I wouldn't
That's a lot of contacts.
It is, but you figure that's like 800 contacts, roughly, give or take. you know, or a little less than
and if he's a-
it's like
if he's a
66 contacts each activation.
Yeah, but if he's a fast CW guy and he's there for the full day, like,
yeah, that'd be
it's
easy.
doable.
Yeah, whereas sideband takes a little longer for every contact. Well, it's one of my bucket list items. Definitely want to get that activated.
I have a kayak.
Oh, dude,
I
I'm
got
not
a
going
fishing
on a kayak on that. No way. We're taking Paul's boat. That's the only way we're going.
I
or
could probably
chartering
kayak
something.
out there. I'll put all my gear in a dry bag.
Here we go. You kayak. Paul and I will take the boat. We'll see who gets there faster and drier.
I'll have the Marine radio ready to call the Coast Guard for you.
I just don't think he's coming back, to be honest with you.
He will. He will.
I have to come back.
When?
He's got to come back for at least the 24-hour
after Huntsville.
No, you said
all the rest of
Florida.
Oh, then the winter.
I'm going to Florida for the winter.
Oh, you're gonna come back and then go to Florida?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were just gonna go from Huntsville to Florida and say like, screw it. See you guys in the spring.
I'm never going north.
And then be like, oh, it's springtime. I'm going back to Indiana.
Illinois.
Yeah, right, Illinois.
Yeah. Indiana. Both start with an I.
Blues Brothers.
So, I mean, I will say, I talked to the owner of the drop zone here.
Mm-hmm.
Eric, your video's fucked up. And I am welcome to come back and work at the drop zone next year.
Oh, nice.
Video fucked up.
So,
or we're working.
No, you're back.
Okay.
Yeah, you were like
cool.
Split.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I got to fix that.
Hey, can at the drop zone, can any plane land there, or just their plane?
It's a municipal runway. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
So it's not like Pepperell where it's like their own little runway.
No. It's the town of Rochelle's municipal airport.
All right, I'll call Ryan and maybe I'll do my flying lesson next year and we'll fly out there and I could do my solo there, cross country solo.
Halfway. Yeah.
Yeah, you're laughing? I'm
not laughing.
Ryan and I, I'm doing it.
I just see your list keep going.
No, it's my retirement gig.
Okay, got it.
I'm gonna become a student, or what do you call it, a teacher.
As Uncle Bob has said, when you finally win the lottery, let him know, because that's a lot of stuff.
If you can fly a Cessna, like you could work for the drop zone flying skydivers.
I can fly.
During the weekday,
I've
you
flown
can
a
work
Cessna
for the
before.
Amherst dispatch.
I did see the chief today. I saw the chief at the fort. He's really getting pissed. He says it's getting close. I got to send him my resume and add my ham radio experience on there.
Oh, there we go. I'm sure that'll win you over.
No, he wants me to do it. He goes,
like me putting my Eagle Scout on my resume.
He goes, you're
like,
the perfect guy to do it. He goes, all my dispatchers live like 45 minutes to an hour away. And when someone doesn't come up, there's no one to call. And I literally could like walk to the police station. So I was like, well, you know where I live. Let's go. Let's get it done. So
we'll have to do the life of the dispatch.
I'll be like W1STJ. We got a DV at 3 Main Street. Joe's at it again.
We got a perp down here in the corner. He's molesting a tree. He seems to be having sex with it, and we're not quite sure why. Can you get an officer down here as soon as possible?
Well, so here's the thing: is as somebody who used to work in dispatch, the police station has their own call sign. And so every hour on the hour, you have to do a check where you. I worked for Bedford Police Fire and 911 there for a little while, and yep.
No, I know you got to check, make sure you know where they're at. They're still alive, not in danger. Not much goes on it. I could just see like I'll get like third shift. Like what the fuck goes on in Amherst on third shift? I'll be like waiting.
The thing is, I mean, they need people that work 3 to 11, 11 to 7. Like
that's his
the evening and overnight. Yep.
That's a song by Kenny Chesney called "Shift Work." He just quoted it.
There we go. All right, well, let's steer this ship back onto our topic tonight so we can get
What is our
going.
topic?
Are we talking about something?
We talk about something. Amazing. Like, every once in a while.
What are we talking about today?
Yeah. So, we kind of, this has kind of been on the Reddits. It's been on, Facebooks and YouTubes and stuff like that. But we've got, this kind of topic that kind of came, I think, from obviously field day has come and gone. So if you had a great field day, that's awesome. I know us three, we didn't participate at all. Todd, he couldn't even remember it was on. And that was totally fine. So, so we have no experience prior to this, but not to say that we aren't field day virgins. We were very, I'd say we're veterans. Yeah, we've got 3 or 4.
We're seasoned. Yeah.
Seasoned as well. Well put. Definitely both seasons. We are winter field day warriors too as well, and we'll get out there and play. But, I kept seeing the same theme over and over again. Everyone's like, oh, field day kind of sucks. It's, field day's not this. And a lot of people were constantly always referring field day. It's like, field day is not POTA. And like, oh, I do this at POTA all the time. Like, why are we saying this is an emergency, preparation kind of event? And like, I kept reading all this and I'm like, guys, like, it's not really, so it kind of might get me thinking with you guys. And I was like, so I threw it out to you guys early in the week and I said, is field day still freaking relevant? Like, do we still need to do this once a year gathering where we empty our shacks and drop it all off in some remote place to go play ham radio and then tag it as emergency kind of preparedness when, a good percentage of us, at least us and many of our subscribers are all POTA people. That we do that every day. Like I can tell you that I think I'm more prepared with my POTA bag. Like if there was an emergency, I just grab it and go, and I know exactly what I've got, and I'm ready to rock and roll. But God, if I prepared like I prepared for field day, fuck no. That'd be like, okay, where am I gonna stick my DX10? Oh, where's my battery? What antenna am I think I'm gonna put up? Like, so it's not like. I don't think ARL should be framing this as an emergency exercise anymore. I guess we'll start there. So, but anyway,
ARL. I don't.
Yeah, well, right. So
these guys,
ignore those letters.
Yeah. Listen, I think that ham radio, people that regularly get on the radio, use the radio, speak on the radio, do POTA, hunt POTA, do contesting, whatever. Like they're on the radio. They're not just, they're actually participating, speaking, CW, FT8, whatever. But people that use the radio on a regular basis are way more prepared than the people that go out and do field day once a year. Okay. Kind of like our, Aries net, right? First time the Aries net came to Bedford, it was a complete joke. It was a disaster. And it was. If they say any other way, they're full of it because it was terrible. I was like, what the hell are these guys doing?
Agreed. Fine.
But
we beat that horse.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is the guys that do the net and do it on a regular basis, and I used to do the net every Sunday, were more comfortable, more useful, and would have been better, in my opinion, if you said, who do you want to do this? Someone that does it once a year or once a month, or someone that's actively comfortable on the radio multiple times, a week. And that's what field day was, that time to get everyone out there and being prepared. But any POTA activator does a field day every time they go out.
Oh yeah. Every time. So when, all these guys have to do all this preparing, shit. I could have been like, oh shit, it's field day today. I could have grabbed my bag and just gone somewhere and set up in 5 minutes, 10 minutes and start doing field day. I wouldn't need, all the preparation stuff. I think field day is more of a social gathering with your clubs, maybe, education, getting ham radio out there, introducing ham radio to new people. So more of a public-facing kind of adventure.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I would like. I think that's what it should be about. It should be like hey, everyone's going out on field day. We're all going to make everyone's going to be out there. It's going to make tons of contacts, and we're going to have the opportunity to introduce people to ham radio. And we sometimes do that on POTA, but sometimes you're by yourself and there's no one there. Other times people come up and do it, but field day you could make it a big. It could be the big event and really focus on getting people there. Who's that?
I got Mike's images here. I'm going to post them here.
Yeah.
You already posted them. I was just gonna.
Well, no, I was hoping that it would show, and you can't actually read what it says.
Yeah, let me grab this one here. I got both of them here. So Paul, so what's your take on it? I mean, obviously you kind of share the same sentiment. You think field day is so passé at this point, or is it irrelevant any longer?
Okay, so my thoughts on field day is that before POTA got popular, field day was a very needed thing where people could biannually, if you do winter field day, go out and practice setting up a station in adverse conditions. And for somebody new, field day is a wonderful first experience, right? Because you've got mentorship that can help you get on the air and walk you through working pileups and how to deal with people who are right on top of one another, and how to notch out the stations that are around you, and how to deal with interference from other stations that are near you. And so in those ways, I think field day is still a very needed thing. I think rather than field day being a practice in emergency communications or emergency preparations, field day is a public outreach, and that's what it should be. It should be 100% focused on getting techs on HF, getting new people, into where they can meet an Elmer, they can, connect with someone who would then be like, all right, now I've got your number, you've got my number. When field day is done, if you've got questions, you've got somebody that can help you, right? And I think that is still very, very important in bringing new people in through the hobby.
Yeah, that's a good point, because then if you did meet someone and you spent some time with them, you could always follow up with them and kind of push them along. Because when I was new to ham radio, before I knew you guys, and I don't even think I had been to the barn or even a club meeting, but I had joined the club, I didn't really know anyone, and I was just looking for someone to kind of give me, open the doors a little bit for me, because I didn't know basically anything except the technician test and the net, So, but yeah, I think that's good. I think our club, we try to do that. I think we've had a lot of people come in, Paul, was it last field day, or was it the winter one?
With the kid one?
No, the one with the kid.
With Christina.
Yeah,
that was winter.
Yeah, winter. Yeah, so that that's kind of like what I think.
Yeah, and that was 2 winters ago, because this last winter, and there was the other little boy. I don't remember his name, but I did get him on the air.
Yeah,
and you used his voice for pre-recording too, but
I sure the fuck did. So. Read the script and let me record it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, all right. So let's pause here real quick. I got Mike's video. So those that want to see what we're talking about here, let me zoom this up a little bit. This one is called, Mike just posted these in the private chat.
Field day.
It says field day is just POTA LARPing. Go ahead and change my mind, which I think is hilarious. And then the other one I find a little bit better here. Let me grab that one real quick. Stop Stop. There we go. Add and window. This one. Yeah, these are perfect for Facebook because, Facebook is a dumpster fire. So this is right up their alley. So this one is two old guys on their scooters saying with a banner in the back says field day. It says happy band pass filter appreciation weekend, which is freaking so true. Oh my gosh. That is so I agree 100% where you guys are saying with, the fact that I think ARL, if they are going to continue to run this as an organization, that they really need to just get away from making this anything whatsoever of a contest. Like the fact that they post the results year over year, stop it camera, that don't
be so French.
I know, right? Exactly. I'm Polish and German, so I'm about to strangle myself. But anyway, we won't go there. All that being said is that I think ARL needs to just dump the whole idea with having posted results and bonus points and all of that stuff that they tried to, I think, help, but it hindered it. It kind of ended up being a crutch because what it did was it attracts people to think contest wise. And we know several clubs in the area who still play by the, hey, how can we be great at making the most points and establishing ourselves as the dominant, contesting power. And for me, that is exactly the opposite. What I think, you guys already stated. It's like, it's an education moment. It's like, get your hands on the radio. It's let's talk about ham radio because you've never heard about it. Well, dude, you're missing out on some awesome stuff. And just really making it, a day thing. Like I get the fact that they want clubs to get together and, hang out and stuff, but clubs aren't doing that. Like most of them are just like they're all in their corners. They're doing contesting and they're busting their butts to make the most points. And that's where they're focused. And, I think that's, it's sadly,
we're a different breed of ham radio operators, right? Like we like to get out and socialize and hang out. I mean, our whole club, a lot of members in our club like to do that. There are some clubs, they don't like to operate. I wouldn't say a lot of them, but they like to get together, the social aspect. But I think, what makes POTA so what people like about POTA is they take the best things about field day, which is getting outside, operating outside your shack, right? Sure. Enjoying the weather, enjoying the outdoors, seeing new places. But the awards, or not the awards, but do they call them awards? The things?
No, there's no awards.
No, what are they called? The certificates or something like the things you try to work for, like
the bonus points.
No. I'm talking about in POTA. Like activate all states.
Yeah.
Work out.
There's awards with POTA.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is like maybe that would be something cool that you could do as a club. Is like, okay, these are all the awards that your club could earn for field day, and see how many you could get, which would be like, work every state, and then you get the all states award. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that because a lot of people, I think in POTA look at those awards and say, hey, and that's what they make their decisions. Like, hey, I need to, I'm going to hunt or I'm going to activate every state. Like that's I want to do that. So what they do, they start working and saying, okay, I'm going to honey, let's take a trip to Arkansas. Like, why the hell do we want to go to Arkansas? Well, we could go down to Florida and just veer off to Arkansas so I can activate the park, right? But like, that's something I would do. Like take a detour to go to get a state that I didn't do, just because it's kind of like a goal, right? And not something you could do. And maybe they do, because I think that's what a lot of people in POTA like to do. Like they say, oh, I need to get Vermont. I need to get Vermont. Like if you go and activate in Vermont, like you're going to get a pileup because people don't get Vermont for some reason. So if I cross,
people in Vermont don't like to confirm their fucking contacts.
That's another story.
Right. Same with South Dakota. For whatever fucking reason, the hams just don't like to confirm their contacts.
Yeah.
That's all it requires, my friend. Trust me. And I know a few guys in the Vermont side, they'll be happily able to, confirm your contact for a small nominal fee. So, okay. So here's my little thing. So I don't know if you watch any of the YouTube, field day kind of videos. So K Murder did one where he visited the South Lions, his old stomping grounds. I don't know if you caught that one.
In Michigan?
In Michigan, yeah. So he went back to Michigan for this year's field day. Funny thing is I didn't know the guys that we had on Everyday Ham, same club. They know Mike.
Well. Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
so
they're in Michigan. Yeah.
Which would make sense. But Michigan's a big state, so I figured I didn't know what part of Michigan they were in. And whether
no, it's a hand.
Oh, right. Sorry. Right. So all that being said, like the way they were talking was like they set up in the middle of the woods at like kind of a campground area. I don't like the way they talked that the people that came by and visited were definitely kind of people that were already hams that knew about it. So like this whole education piece that we were mentioning, like, you know, getting new people, you know, are usually public people that normally would never venture into those places. So like, I feel like it's lost on a lot of those, you know, clubs that decide to go do a camp out and, you know, it's in a excluded area, I should say. So they're not letting the public always come in. So they're not getting the public. They're getting a few hams. That
next year's field day, Walmart parking lot.
Yeah. Dude, did that? No. That's so. To do
it. You can camp there. You can put your trailers there. You can do anything you want there. So you want to get public?
Yeah, and you're going to deal with a shit ton of RFI. Right. Hear me out. Okay.
Okay.
What is missing in that type of scenario?
Yeah.
Is the publication, the publicity of it. So you pick. Ideally, you would pick a state park that is not so far removed, but removed enough, and you would publicize the shit out of it. And this is where, like, the clubs need to do the fucking business. This is where I'm telling you, right? We've beat the shit to death, but the business meetings are important because clubs need to conduct business. And part of that business is publicity. And so you need to put out press releases to your local paper and your local news and all of the places so that people see and they go, "Hey, are you interested in radio? Have you ever thought about making a contact, you know, with a radio and a battery in the, you know, in the middle of the woods? Like, come find out what we're doing.
Sure.
Come find out how, you know, you could be prepared in case of an emergency."
So I agree with the publicity side of things. My frustration is, so say like as an example, the parks around in the New England area, they're tough. Like if you go to places like most parks, you have to pay to get in. Now, the big challenge with that is like if you want the public aspect to come to that, like, and you're in a park that requires people to pay to get in, you're only going to get the attraction of the folks that are there at the park already, which is fine. And that's not a bad thing. But I think if, you know, you make ARL's field day a big education aspect, damn you, camera. Let me do this. Tap to lock it. There we go. The thing you lose out is the fact that you can't really get the people off what I call off the street. Like the benefit that we had being at Mike's is that all we had to do was freaking advertise in and around the area, and people would come off of like the major highways because they see this sign about like, what the hell's this radio thing? Let's go check it out. And, you know, they just come, or, you know, they, you know, maybe saw our
people were coming from the highway to go to Goffstown.
It's actually not entirely true. 2 years ago, we actually had a couple that randomly saw our sign and followed all of the signs to our site and were like, what is this field day? Like, what's this ham radio stuff? So there are people that
all the way from like things. What, 114?
Yeah. I mean, that's not like halfway around the world, but like that's in a localized area. So the main traffic thoroughfares in and around area. I wasn't saying like, yeah, they're coming from far and wide. This is not Field of Dreams, but you know, all that being said, I think like that aspect is super important because like you and I have been witness to it. I mean, we had 2 brand new hams literally got a chance to get on 3 brand new hams in Winter Field Day, if we include that have just gotten on the air. And, you know, we planted that seed. I'm hoping we'll see them in the future. But like we've had like couples that come to us like 2 years ago, they had, hey, our church wants to do, you know, get more into radio. You know, who do we talk to about that kind of stuff? Because we want to do something for emergency preparedness. Well, yeah, we've got plenty of people in Aries that can talk to you about that stuff. And so, you know, you've had those conversations. So I think
meet your Elmer.
Yeah. Well, wait. What's an Elmer? You want Elmer who? But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I still don't have one, but that's all right.
Oh, whatever. We're all Elmers to each other. I mean, heck, some days I feel like you're Elmering me. So how's that for it? So I don't know. Like I want to touch a little bit because I know you guys don't have the backstory. Like when I was a ham in 1991, way back when, like field day was the day because that was the only thing you could, that you could actually get and play radio and get people involved and you could bring your friends and they could come. And I used to drag a lot of my high school friends to, field day and they'd be like, oh, this is kind of cool. But, they would never get their ticket or anything like that. But like, I don't feel like that's, that's relevant any longer because like, I don't know about you. I'm not always inviting, my non-ham friends, those that know ham radio that I've known for 30 years make fun of me, but that's a different story, and so they're never going to come. But, in essence, they're going to, they probably would be a good fit to hanging out in those circles and talking with those people. So, I see from where field day used to be. Yeah, it was super relevant. It was important that we all get together and hang out because it was all that food fellowship and fun stuff. But I think it's a lot less now because POTA's just made radio so much more, accessible to everybody. Like, would you agree?
Well, so, all right. I would take it one step further and say that field day is still important for the reasons that I said.
Okay.
But in addition to field day, because field day is centered around clubs, right? In addition,
no, not anymore. They're home stations now because remember they all have the D stations.
Yeah, but I mean the majority is club calls.
Okay, maybe
at least I mean that's my take on it, right?
I could count 5 people that I know went off on their own, 3 and did their own thing on somebody else's call. But okay, I agree with it. Go with it. Run with it.
All right. Well, follow my train of thought here. Okay,
I'll take the bus, but go on.
Okay. So I think that it's more important to do the community outreach as a club.
Sure.
Right? Doing things like when I was super active in the VFW and I would pull the club to VFW things where we were, setting up in the, for the public as an information and okay, look, here's a station. It's a portable station. And granted, I mean, it was my POTA station, right? But we were demonstrating live to the public, making contacts around the world,
right? And
getting people genuinely interested in the hobby.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's where the field day focus should be on pulling in the public, being all about education and hanging out, having a good time, meeting people face to face, having those face to face QSOs where you say, hey, you know what? I like this guy or this girl and they're really smart and they know shit and I want to learn from them. And so let's swap numbers, let's exchange contact info. And I'm going to go to that person from now on until I get my general and I've got a little bit of knowledge where I can start maybe sharing what I've learned.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let me kind of do a little summary. So we think contesting should go away. Like the idea of it. Todd, you agree?
For field day?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I never took field day. I never cared about what we were doing in the field. I just wanted to make contacts. So like, I wasn't paying attention to, what we needed to get or not. I mean, I know like there were things that people were just, like trying to get. I just went in there just to make the contact. So,
but you were interested in making the farthest contact you could possibly make. Is that kind of like what you were trying to shoot for, to see what propagation would give you? But yeah, I wanted to get to that. That's why I was trying to get there.
Okay.
we're going to talk to, Mike's point in a second. Because I think the winter field day guys have a better idea or at least have their heads on their shoulders the right way. And are adapting to the times to be more relevant. But so contest needs to go away. There needs to be more of an educational, like primary, like that should be number one focus for all clubs in the purposes of furthering field day, because that will stop the bullshit of, oh, the hobby's dying, we don't have new hams coming in. That would all go away, because in essence, those Elmers would have two options to do. They could share their information with the public and new people and young kids, because old people love young kids. They're more than apt to like tell them stories and stuff like that. So, there would be that community kind of building aspect, but there's got to be, the field day component in setting up. I think the one thing that pisses me off the most is that field day has so many rules to, like, you have to be this station and you have to be this power and you have to be in this area. And if you're only with 2 people, you can't be this with 3 people, and you can't be this call, delineation or this section number, and it really just, like, for a new person, it makes so much confusion and could be more simplified with how, Winterfield Days uses some of the same nomenclature, but to go to Mike's point, because this is what I'm trying to get to, is that Mike had made a comment and he said, he thinks Winterfield Day is got the right track where they're doing objectives and they're trying to make better ways and more inroads to doing like other things in the hobby. So like you get bonus points for doing satellites, or you get more than that, where you're taking on, an activation of a park, because they obviously want to make sure that they bring in the POTA people, at the same time, because they're the ones going out and doing the park. And at the same time, they have to not, like the year before, they were like, they couldn't participate in Winterfield Day because they were at a park. It's like, so they made the rule change and they made it, so they could do that, or they could rove. And so, yeah.
But you've also got like, HF and VHF, UHF, WinLink and Vera, like there are so many other modes that you can use where, it's keyboard to keyboard, but it's RF.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I think, they're going to probably expand it. I would love to see how they could do things more in, dealing with APRS and all of those like forgotten modes that just aren't always widely publicized and used, to get more hams involved. Like I know there's obviously people trying to push that, further with applications. I just saw our HRCC's, latest post on our, JSA call updates. So like, it's those things that, I want to see more of in the hobby, because, how many times you always hear an old ham go, oh, I remember the PSK days and, dealing with, the old RIDI and all that other stuff. And, or, our favorite, K1G in our club. He's like, yeah, it's JSA call weekend every time when we talk about contesting. So it's like, kind of those things. Like I get it, because they don't want that mode to die. And so it's important to, I think, to make those things, more prevalent and more active. Sorry, I'll stop. I left my white collar, on the desk over there, so I didn't want to reach over to grab it. But yeah, glad to help out there, Mike. Amen. Yeah. So I don't know. It's definitely got to change. Like, and this is the problem. We all know that we all can't stand ARRL. They are going to hold on to this, this thing for a long time and let it and milk it to death until they realize, oh, they just don't have the interest any longer.
Sadly, the ARRL has become the ham radio NRA.
Yeah, true. Good analogy. Yeah.
It just is what it is. Unfortunately, it's too big. It's too inflated, and they've lost sight of what their freaking actual mission should be. Mm-hmm. But I think it's up to us to kind of pick that up and be like, you know what, we know what actually resonates with other people and what is going to help and what's going to mean something to somebody else. And so, like, fuck what the big organization wants to do. Let's just focus on putting somebody new in front of a radio, giving them a script, helping them out, teaching them, walking them through it. And then when they do get a pile up, being like, okay, now, yes, it was a lot coming at you right there. But what did you hear? Did you hear a prefix that you could pull out? Did you hear a suffix that you could pull out? Like, okay, now key on that and then focus on it. Or, okay, so, sideband aside, let's look at what can we do to relay pertinent information about where we are and what's going on in our location to other people, because that's the kind of stuff where in like a natural disaster type situation, like you look at, Helene, right? And all that shit that happened to Tennessee and North Carolina, like had there been hams that were a little bit better prepared, they wouldn't have been so focused on repeaters, and they would have been a little bit more focused on making sure that whatever mode they were using to relay information was getting the right information to the right people. And that's using things like WinLink and JS8 Call and Vera and all of those other modes that are in our toolbox, and so yes, field day is great, and it's good to get out with the people and interact with the club and hang out, socialize. But I think the focus going forward needs to be on mentorship and teaching.
So
all the modes, all the ways, because that's how you get people interested in actually practicing emergency communications on a regular basis outside of field day.
So here's a thought for you. And maybe, do you think in say 5 years, because here's an example, like we currently do twice a year POTA meetups with our club, and it's geared around, we'll say, Sports Parks weekend for just the purposes of like people experiencing the field day, because we all know, like, heck, there's going to be billions of people on, they're going to make a contact. It's going to be like shooting fish in a barrel. So that's why we do it. Do you ever think that, say in 5 years, like along your ideas, trying to stay relevant, trying to do that same thing? Because I feel like we do that very well in the POTA community already. Like I've never bumped into a ham that's been, go away, I'm busy here making contacts. It's always like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, let me show you. Let's have that conversation. You're always willing to stop the process for the purposes of maybe educating somebody on it or doing something, around it. Do we think in 5 years, like, will all of a sudden POTA, say Support Your Parks weekend, become the new field day? Not calling it field day, but calling it, POTA with all of those same elements that you were talking about.
Yeah. And I think any club that is smart is going to key up on that, and they're going to take advantage of that, especially 5 years from now, because 5 years from now, band conditions are going to be shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. And so that's when it's going to be even more important to know how to utilize all the tools in your toolbox. Right. Well, I can't make a sideband contact to California right now, but I need to relay a message from a family member to a family member in California. And how can I do that in the most effective way? Even with shit band conditions.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's the future, and that's where it needs to be focused.
What are you going to say, Todd?
No, I mean, I think one of the other things that makes POTA is just fun. And sometimes there's so much work in field day, setting it up, running it, like it takes away the fun part of it. Like it's so much work to do 24 hour. I mean, I don't know, like we're going to do the 24-hour park, right?
It'll be a lot of work, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's not going to be a lot of work like a field day work. Like it's going to be like, we're going to set up a station. We got a campsite. We're going to drink some beers, and we're going to play radio, right?
We still have to live stream and figure out how that equipment's going to work and stay up and running all during that time. So yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, but yeah, I get where you're coming from.
But I mean, like even like when we go out and say, hey, you want to go? Like, all right, for an example, when we went to do the Rove, right? I said, hey, it's going to be 80 degrees. I'm taking off work, and you're like, I'm good. Let's go. And then we just went and did it, and it was fun. It wasn't a lot of planning. It was like, let's just bring our stuff and we'll figure it out on the way. And we just did it. And it was fun. I think with field day, with all the rules and someone's like, this this many people, this many. I mean, it just gets to the point where it's like, what are we doing here? Where it almost makes me want to be like, I just want to go out by myself and set up my
that's
POTA.
where a lot of people go.
And set up my one station and just work the bands, right? So I don't know. I mean, in 5 years, 10 years from now, I think POTA is what's going to save and is saving ham radio, because you're getting a lot more younger people who are getting into POTA, who are getting out there and then you've got like the internet and YouTube, and people are doing, like we're doing, and other YouTubers and podcasts, but people are actually out there doing it. Like, there's always people hunting you when you go out on POTA. Like, I've never gone out and been like, the CQ Park's on the air and nothing. There's always.
I don't know. The band conditions the past couple of weeks have been just that. So, but that's, the band conditions.
But look, all right. But when I was in California and I could barely get the freaking 10 contacts, right? 10, there's still people out there trying to find me or hear me. That's I could hear them, faintly in the noise. Mm-hmm. But I think that's what makes POTA is basically, it's getting people to use ham radio more and more. I think more people are probably doing ham radio on a regular basis than they probably ever did before. Not saying the rag chewers that get on like on HF and are just shooting the shit with their buddy, but like actually going out, unless there's a contest. I mean, right, where they're trying to make contacts and going through the motions. But POTA, it's like you can do it whenever you want, and the whole world's doing it basically, and it's people are enjoying it, and I think it's what's going to save ham radio, because I think if you didn't have something like that and you only had it one day a year, or now 2 days a year, with Winterfield Day, I think it's a hobby that would have probably died out. But now that you can go out and there's things for you to work for, if you're into that, like working for Work All States or Hunted All States. And even if you can't do, let's say you're older and you're not as mobile and you can't go out and do parks, you can always be a hunter, right? And it allows you to do that and search and try to stations without having to have a quote unquote contest to be doing.
But so, all right, let me ask you though, Todd, right? Because one of the things you said is that like you would be just happy and fine just going out on your own. Now, at this stage in the game, I would
rather do it with you guys and my friends and hanging out.
Okay, but so hear me out. But at this stage in the game, right? You're an experienced operator.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so think back to like that first time you and I met Eric at the rail trail, okay, where we didn't have a fucking clue, but all we knew was from meeting Eric at Field Day and like having that interaction, we liked him, we got along.
Thanks.
Like,
I worked Pennsylvania. I was like, sweet.
Now let's continue to learn. And let's take this portable stuff to another level, right? But for us, like, I mean, it started at Field Day.
Yep.
And so that's where I think Field Day is still important.
Oh, I'm not. Listen, I'm not saying it's not important, and I don't think we should ever get rid of it. I think it's a great thing to do.
It just needs to evolve. Yeah.
Yeah. I think less of. I agree with what you're saying. It needs to be more educational, more open, get the public involved, and then have fun. It should be a time for clubs to get together and hang out for 24 hours or 12 hours or whatever they're going to do. I mean, those are all really fun things about Field Day, but like I said, to me, like all the rules and all the things and what you can, it's just, I don't want to deal with it. Like
funny you say that, because like, here's a little sidebar. I'm not even running Field Day this year. And I can't tell you how many times I had 4 people come up to me and go, we can't start it at 10 o'clock. The go-to station can't start at 10 o'clock because the rules state that if we set up on this time on Friday, we cannot turn the radios on until 2. I'm like, Guys,
See,
it's a separate call sign. I don't care. We're going to make 22 contacts with that, probably on the max. Let them go. Let them do it. It doesn't matter. Stop being so rule-focused.
And that's the stupid stuff. Like, like why can't you set up on Friday a day before and get everything? So then when noon comes or whenever it starts, you can get there at 11, shoot the shit, and then start. Like,
well, I understand why, because it was for folks like N1FD who were like, I want to take advantage of this and make it, use it as a way to get a leg up. So that's why that rule was created.
There's extra contest points, even though it's not a contest.
Exactly. Right. And that's the problem is like, if you eliminate that, I think that contest portion and make it more educational, like all you guys have said, it'll change how people behave and how it becomes less, we'll say, aggressive and more inviting.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking, you talk about like, how do you get people involved in ham radio, right? Well, I had a walk in the 4th of July parade with the baseball team. How cool would it be if you had a flatbed?
My HT and my fluorescent vest.
And you set up your, we set up my antenna since it's the Buddy Pole Pro, because it can be on a thing, and we just have a huge speaker connected to it. Yeah, good luck with your wire. Huge speaker there.
You know what those things can do? Suck the paint off your house and give your family a permanent orange afro.
All right. Anyways, all right. We'll go back to that.
But, right, how cool would that be if you're doing it, you're just working the radio, CQ 4th of July parade. We're in the parade, trying to make a contact.
Not even in the parade. Like, just like, I'm sure you probably have a whole bunch of booths you could set up
at the village,
and let people come by.
Right. But but those are the kind of things, and like the 4-H stuff and getting involved with the schools, because everyone will make fun of you at doing ham radio until they actually see it. And then when you start making contacts around the world, they're like, whoa, that's pretty cool. You do that again, or show me how you did that.
It's like the face painting organizations at all of these places. Eventually, like everyone looked at it like, why would I want to put paint on my face? And now it's like the most popular thing with kids. So it's like ham radio should be the same way. Like, eventually like make it popular again and, like have people start making contacts.
All right. Next 4th of July, let's do a booth, and then the Grouch can come here and we'll make him get his face painted green so he can look like the Grouch.
Yeah. Well,
but I'm just saying that would be, I think it would be cool to have like a ham radio station going out the 4th of July.
Totally. Dude.
And it would get people to, to at least be aware of it or see it.
Dude, what, like 4th of July starts the whole 13 colonies thing, or it's like the day after, right? Why can't they just like say, let's start on the 4th of July and say
13 colonies started last week.
Is it last week? Okay. So it's before the 4th of July then.
Because when I did the POTA with Chris in Wisconsin, the 13 colonies, I think, started that day.
Okay. So they should do something like a special event and get clubs to be able to get out and get out in the community. I think we all agree that a lot of clubs don't do enough public, appearances, engaging the public, getting into, STEM in schools and all that stuff. And it's a slog because the problem is not to din the old machine, but the old regime is very much like, oh, we always expected people to come to us because it was the only mode of communication that people knew, and it was the thing. It's not the thing anymore. And so
now everybody's glued to these fucking things.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Grouch dunking booth. Yes. I think that would work too well. Every contact they make on a go to station, let's go. Dude, yeah, I think that's
I'll dye my beard green and I'll paint my face green.
Well, let's get the first 24-hour POTA going, and
next
then
thing you know, we'll be
add on.
There'll be like a 300 contact thing. Paul just be up and down, drowning.
The dunk tank will have to look like a garbage can to be authentic. Yeah.
Dude, we can even tie it to our super chats. As people are donating, the more super chats people hit, the button Grouch ends up in the dunk tank. So there we go. We got something going here. All right. Well, it's funny because like we could. You actually brought up a point that I think if Marvin, you listen to this podcast. If not, I'll have to hit you up on the Discord. I think you mentioned something on MCOM where capturing the message. I think it'd be really freaking cool to do something like a hot potato thing. Like, so one club exactly. Right. And everybody has to get the message right. And it has to hit so many places to get out the farthest it possibly can, whether it's across the country, and the last club to get it on the end of the, the 24-hour activate, 24-hour, winter field day, is the one that gets the message, and, everybody gets points along the way to see how far it goes, and accurately, which would be totally freaking phenomenal. See how that would end up on the other end of that. But yeah, Marvin, if you're listening, let's have a little conversation. I think that'd be kind of cool to play.
Yeah. Message relays.
Yeah. I like I said, I think the way winter field day works is way better than summer field day or whatever the main field day. Winter field day it's fun, it's simplified, it's and it's more challenging because you are out in the snow. I mean, except the Grouch had it. Like I had to take my freaking. I was in a t-shirt. I'm like, holy crap, it's hot in here. It's like 10 degrees outside, and I'm out there like Paul's in shorts and a t-shirt.
Heck, Watson didn't even have to sit on the snow. He was on a mat. That's how comfort driven that place is.
But it's cool. You set up and you do it, but it was just simplified, and it wasn't so monotonous on all the stupid rules. And they need to simplify it because, I could give two shits. Like if I did field day and I said, all right, well, I can't do it in the morning because I got a baseball game I'm setting up Friday. Like I could give two shits about that. Like that's a stupid rule because it's a contest, and it would be a lot easier even for clubs to be able to set up, get their tents, get their antennas set up to do the I don't know.
I take a lot of pride in the fact that no matter what time of year it is, no matter what the band conditions are, no matter what the weather is, I can take the things that I have acquired and I can go and I can set up anywhere, and I can put a station on the air and I can make contacts.
Yep.
And granted, it's taken me years to get to this point.
I wouldn't say years. You
it took me a couple.
Fast.
It took me a couple.
So let me ask you this: for next year,
I jump feet first into everything. But
head first, I think, with this one. But yeah.
So winter field day, are you going in your igloo or are you going in the trailer?
I don't know. So thinking that far ahead.
I'm just asking.
Winter field day is going to be in Florida.
Yeah, he's going to be in
I'm going to be in AC.
It's you and I that are going to have to figure that one out.
Oh my God. Can you leave your igloo tents then?
Yes.
Just leave them in the boat and we'll
take the boat.
Yeah. Bring the boat to winter field day, sitting in the trailer.
See, here's an interesting thing I've seen listening to you guys talk about POTA. I look at POTA as a widget, because literally you can do POTA on top of anything. That's the nice part about POTA, is that it's not so freaking rigid that you can only do it at a one time of the year, or you have only do it this period of time. You can do POTA anytime, but it's even more so versatile that even if you're not doing POTA, you can literally still set up all your gear that you use for POTA to do just general CQ calls in someone's church parking lot to show a bunch of youth, how to do ham radio, and not worry that you're using the wrong type of stuff or whatever. That to me is so freaking awesome that I've got a bag that I can do many things with, and which totally excites me, because it's not like I have one bag for this and one bag for this and then another bag for whatever, although that's fun to have, and I have many of them. I still know that I can just grab that one bag and, we're off playing HF and, everything's all good. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. You can set up anywhere in any condition, and you can have a successful station where you're able to send and receive information.
Totally. And have fun doing it and not care how long it takes, which is the total icing on the cake for me. All right. Well,
but go. All right. So my last point here is I think what needs to happen is I think field day needs to shift to incorporate a lot more of what Army Mars and Air Force Mars is doing.
And what's that?
Right. Where it's pertinent information and message relaying, right? So it's all right. So there was an exercise back in February where you had to report your closest gas station and how many pumps there were, whether it was regular gas, whether it was diesel, your closest hospital, and the location and the size of the hospital, and and relay like road closures information, like things of that nature, like pertinent, like real world scenario, like hurricane just hit South Carolina, right? I mean, who knows how much damage it's going to cause. But if we're not practicing on a regular basis on how to relay that information to get those people the help they need, then we're not going to be prepared when those situations arise.
Yep. One time a year is not going to solve that. Yep.
One time a year is not going to solve it. But one time a year, meeting people and getting together and understanding, hey, listen, I'm really good with these things. This guy's really good with these things. This guy's really good with these things. And if you want to be friends with all of us, and, like we'll all kind of help each other out and we'll all learn and grow together, ultimately that is what's going to build this hobby. Yep. And that's what's going to keep people like, oh my God, yes, there is an actual use for this. It's not, well, I could just use this, and I could send a message.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, like in an emergency, the phones aren't going to work because the cell phone network is going to be either overloaded or it's going to be damaged and not working.
Or the other side of the coin, like, CB and GMRS, like those are good modes.
Yes.
But I can tell you that I will rely more on ham radio, knowing that if I pick up my, mic and PTT it, that there's going to be another ham radio operator on the other end who has an idea, at least, what to do with, the information I might be relaying to him or her to be able to get it to the next person. So, yeah, it's very different in that sense. Not to, dismiss any of those, but in essence, that's always been a struggle with people that are just only in those modes, because most people are going to be like, I'm going to huddle around my own house and do my own thing and keep it to my own family. They're not going to be like ham radio operators. We reach far and wide, which is, pretty amazing for a very big, diverse group of people. And more so, like, I think what I'll call the POTA army, sorry to dive back in, maybe, a Fight Club, scenario there, or and that POTA, one of the army movies that I'm trying to think of that, was it Third, whatever, bad reference. I'm going to skip right over it and continue on. With the idea that, we reach far and wide, and we have a slew of people and resources and, resources in many different areas, not just like we're all HF and CW guys. So,
yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like, Todd, do you want to throw anything more into that?
No, I think, I'm all for field day. I don't want to get rid of it. I think it's important. I just think
change.
It's got to change with anything to survive needs to adapt with the changes and things in time. And things are changing. And, even clubs, like we've talked about clubs, if you don't adapt to the changes, you can't have it the same way, because 20 years from now, club's going to be different. It's just a matter of that's the way it is.
5 years from now, things are going to be totally different.
Right. And I think that, and I think I would hope that the ARL will look at maybe the success of Winter Field Day, the success that POTA has been, which is really just kind of taken a life of its own. You've got the few guys that are trying to, are running it or making it work, overseeing it, I guess you could say. But it's really just taken a life of its own, and it's not a huge organization. It's just we're POTA, the POTA activators and hunters. We are the thing. And I think Field Day needs to be, the hams should be in charge. The ham radio operators should be putting in input to what Field Day should be, and they should take it seriously and then make the changes. And if some people don't like it, fine. But, you're going to lose more people if you don't, if you have so many rules or make it so difficult or and you don't focus in on getting the education. I think the education, I agree with you. I've always said with any kind of club, it's important to get younger people involved because they're the future of the hobby.
Well, and the education side of it, dude, guess what? When we take our test, we're not getting educated on any of that, right?
Yeah.
We're just testing for the purposes to we'll get an actual education once we get into the hobby. So
I mean, everyone sits there and memorizes the questions and tries to learn. I mean, I didn't know shit after I got my general, but I've learned so much from actually doing the hobby versus what I was doing before. So the testing is like, to me, it's like, all right, I get it. I'm glad that there's tests, but you're not going to learn from the test. You're going to learn from the actual working and playing radio. And you're always going to learn. You're never going to stop learning. It's not like one day you're like, oh, I'm the almighty ham. I've got everything I know, all that is to be, because it's just an ongoing thing. But what most people like to do is they like to get out on the air and operate. And you can't make it too difficult, and you can't make field day too, because I bet you there's clubs out there, smaller clubs, like not like big clubs, like maybe 10 people or whatever, that are like, this is just, they get the booklet and they're like, what the hell? Like, I'm not doing this. Like we'll just sit at home and make contacts. And that it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah. So I think Mike said it best, and we'll end on this one because I think it's really good. He posts here in the comments, who won field day really? The club that got 23 stations running at the same time? God forbid 23 stations. Or the club that got 23 non-hams on the go-to station? There you go. That says it all. That speaks volumes, my friend. If your club's not doing that, then, who cares how many freaking points you put up on the board there? Guess what? Next year we'll roll around and there'll be someone else to take your place. So, make more hams.
I mean, what do we even care like what we get? I mean, it's kind of like, oh yeah, we made this many contacts, but it's not like, I mean, maybe there are clubs that want to do that and they like the competition of it, which I think contesting can be cool. I mean, I wish, I could see myself at one point, being a contester if I really wanted to focus on that. But
here's my caveat to this, and I'm only going to say this, is that there's so much contesting already going around.
Yeah.
Stop it, you stupid camera. That, bottom line is why do we have to let field day be the same thing? Like, get contesting out of field day. Like, let that one weekend be non-contesting and let contesting do everything else the other 363 days of the year. Or what? No, because there's 2 days of field day. 24 hours. It's like basically Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So 2 days. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
No, I agree with you. It should be more about GOTA and getting, and then just going out there and having fun, hanging out, making contacts, talking with people. I mean, the best part of field day for me is, without, besides hanging out with all you guys, is talking to other people who are like, hey man, good luck to you. We're a two station club or whatever. I mean, it's just, you do have a little chit chat with them, and everyone's kind of getting on the air talking. And it's one day that you can actually get on the air. Well, before POTA, it was, that was the one day that you knew there were going to be people out there and you're going to be able to work people. And there's a good chance you could get a pile up. But again, you've got POTA now. So there's like every day could be that day, where I think it used to be just like on a field day minus the contesting. So like I said, I think I love field day. I haven't really done it the last 2 years just because I was on vacation in baseball, but baseball's done. And next year I'm hoping to be a station captain or whatever you call it. And I'm going to plan to be there all day, all night, and just have some fun.
Sounds good to me, man. All right. Well, yeah, Mike, I wasn't knocking the 23 station or the 23 alpha, but God, that is a logistics nightmare in and of its own.
Who had the 23 stations?
Somebody.
NARS?
No. Let me see.
Dude,
Matt.
There have been field days where I've made contacts with stations that were like 98 alphas.
What? They can only max a 24. So the station
really?
The station that was 23 alpha.
There was a Texas club a couple of years ago that had almost 100 fucking stations.
That's crazy. That must have been before the rule. Because I know ARL's had the rule for the past 2 years. They can't be max of 24 stations. So
it was like every member of their club had their own station.
Pretty much. Well, it also might be a combined thing too with the COVID stuff. But so, yeah, Matt sent me a picture of them. It was the club in Conheo Valley Amateur Radio Club, Alpha 6, Charlie Victor. They were 23A. Insane. Insane. Like, I don't want to pull the photos down, but like
hogs.
they were literally in a like a barren, like dusty field by the photos, and like it's antenna farms everywhere. And then they were in this like big, half, looks like an airport hangar that they're kind of sitting in. Yeah, it's pretty intense. I'll also post it on the Discord there for folks to take a look at. But yeah, it is too much, man. That's like for me as a coordinator, that I want to put a bullet in my head after I'm done. 23A, forget it.
Oh, band pass filters aren't even helping you at that point.
No, at that point, yeah, no, forget it. You're on single individual bands per station and per mode. It's like, oh, this is all the CW block. Then this is all the sideband block. Oh man. So yeah, no, but I think you're right, Mike. That's the whole thing. That getting 23 non-hams on GOTA is way more long-term powerful, both for the club and for the hobby as a whole, than it will ever be. Whether or not you're, the 23A and scoring, 10,000 points for, field day of whatever year. Well, cool. All right. I got that off my chest. We can move on now. No more field day, and onto some other better stuff. And heck, we might fall into the same hole again and just, decide to say, heck, let's just let the tape roll and see where we go with next week. You'll never know what you're getting with, Live Free and Ham guys here. But I just wanted to make a little quick plug there. If you haven't, heard about our 24-hour POTA, this is kind of like the last thing we'll mention of it for a little while. We're getting all the numbers together this week. So if you want to head over there, you can click the link down below to head over to our website at livefreeandham.com/24H-POTA. Fill in the form. Let us know you want to come. We got a lot of people coming. I'm super excited. That list is going to be pretty huge. It's going to be a fun event. And it's going to just, it's going to go down in the history books. I guarantee you. And Mike will be there. So we're all looking forward to having Mike there. So, that'll be a blast to finally make, face-to-face eyeball QSO. So good to hear that one. And so maybe we'll get Izzo, Izzo, if you're listening,
come on, Izzo,
start planning, take
a day off,
plant the seed, get sick that weekend. All you have to do is, get sick on a Friday and a Saturday and you're fine. You can go back to work on Sunday. So, all right, let's put a bow on this one. So again, thank you guys for all joining in and being part of the Live Free and Ham podcast community. Dude, we truly appreciate every one of you guys. Everyone's part of our podcast listening audience, our YouTube audience, our Patreons and everything in between. You guys definitely keep us going and keep us motivated to continue to do the show because we just love doing it and you guys love hearing about us. So all good and keep it coming. We want to hear from you guys. So, if you want to help be part of that community, you can always connect with us by obviously heading over to our Discord server, join in that conversation. We always try to, keep the conversation flowing. And we'd love to have you part of our community and engaged in that. You can always head over to our YouTube channel. If you're not already part of that and a subscriber, make sure you become a subscriber. And you can check all of the awesome content over there. We'll promise we're going to start to get back into some of that and do some of our ham diary stuff. We've all been lax on that a little bit because we've all been going crazy. But I think, kind of as we get into the fall months, things will calm down a little bit and maybe we'll throw some more content out there. But hopefully you've been enjoying what we got now. You can always, again, leave us a review using our SMS link, and that's all in our show notes. And now you can leave us a voicemail, like we've always said, and you can call us at 978-233-1142. We'd love to hear you, from you, I should say. And so with that, if you aren't a Patreon member and you want to come see all of the inside baseball stuff that goes along with us every week and be part of our live stream private chat here. Mike is in there and we've had others like Bob and actually Renee Six was in there too earlier. So it was good to see her. And so, yeah, you can be part of that in our Patreon group. And there's a great stuff there and check all that out over at our website at livefreeandham.com. And all of our links and show notes and everything else there is posted up there. So if you need to reach out to any of us, you can find all of our contact host info. And with that, thanks again for listening. And from all of us here at Live Free and Ham, 7-3.
Great.
7-3.